Fox News hosts and guests accidentally described Donald Trump when saying that Graham Platner has no business being an elected official in the United States. Let's discuss. One of the kind of strangest things about American politics is watching people suddenly discover principles that they spent a decade abandoning. Take a look at this discussion on Fox News between Kellyanne Conway, longtime Trump advisor and supporter, and Republican Senator John Kennedy. Kennedy goes, "This guy is a predator. You don't want him anywhere near power." Of course, he's talking about Platner, but why doesn't that apply to Trump? And Kellyanne Conway says, look, he's accused of abuse and assault and of disparaging our military. This is not okay. And of course, she's talking about Platner, but it could also describe Donald Trump. Let's take a look at this and see if we can parse it.
Knows that this guy is he's a predator. He is a predator, and you don't want him anywhere near power.
These allegations of abuse and assault and disparaging our military, calling them fat, you deserve to die, said to one of our troops, and the Nazi tattoo, it just goes on, and it never seemed enough for your colleagues across the aisle in the Democratic Party to chuck this guy into the latest rounds of allegations, thereby showing Senator Kennedy that for the Democrats, they don't believe all women. They chuck that to the side when you're talking about a swing state. You're not.
Listen, they don't believe all women. I know that there are some people out there gallivanting on X and TikTok and different platforms going, I don't believe the Platner accusers, even though I believe all the Trump accusers because of some narrow, weird thing. Listen, we believe women, okay? When these two, Conway and Kennedy, go, you don't want him anywhere near power, they should chuck this guy. If we're talking about the allegations against Graham Platner, I agree with the principle. I don't think this guy is a good candidate. I think he's got to drop out. I think he will drop out. I don't think he should be anywhere near political power. He has decades of documented poor judgment and disgusting statements and things that he said, and now very serious allegations. I thought he wasn't being honest with me during our interview. That's all true. That's easy to say. Public officials accused of serious abuse deserve serious scrutiny. No argument. But where this becomes impossible to listen to with a straight face is that the people saying this, Senator John Kennedy and Kellyanne Conway, they have spent a decade defending Donald Trump, not despite the allegations against him. After the allegations against him, they go, this is the guy that we want. He's phenomenal. Trump accused of sexual misconduct by dozens of women over many years, found civilly liable by a jury for sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll. And a judge later said, New York law uses the label sexual abuse rather than rape, but the actions certainly describe rape. Republicans knew all of it, and they nominated him again. And they nominated him again, and tens of millions of Americans voted for him 3 times, and they defend him and defend him. So I have a little bit of trouble taking lectures from these people about standards. Take a look at this next clip. Here's Congressman Brandon Gill speaking to Kellyanne Conway, going, they didn't seem to have a problem with allegations from multiple women. You guys had no problem with allegations from multiple women about Trump. The difference is, I think Platner is going to be forced out. Trump was made president twice.
Congressman, you can take this in so many different directions. I am completely disgusted with the Democratic Party and this candidate, their nominee. But I am worried for the country. If they're going to continue to stand by their men until they can't any longer, we may end up with bad candidates, bad office holders. Until it's too late, they'll already be there.
Kind of like with Trump right now.
Well, the key is what you just said there, which is they're standing by him until they don't believe that they can any longer. In other words, Democrats, to your point, had no problem with the Nazi tattoo that was on his chest. By the way, I don't have any friends who have Nazi tattoos on their chest, and I don't think that most Americans either. You have to go looking for somebody who has a Nazi tattoo on their chest. They didn't have a problem with that. They didn't have any problem with multiple credible allegations of abuse from multiple women until very recently, until we find out that the latest woman.
You guys don't even have a problem with multiple credible allegations of abuse against Trump now.
Who's made credible allegations is left-wing politically. They had no problem before. They have had no problem with the really unsavory, just frankly disgusting things that he's written on all kinds of different social media platforms, the messaging apps that he had been on that predators tend to frequent. They had no problem with any of that. What they have a problem with now is they've gotten to the point where they don't believe that he's a viable candidate anymore. So they want to jump in and replace him. That's a problem. We need decent people running for office, not people that are so transparently scumbags.
We do need, I agree with that. We need decent people running for office. We don't want people who are transparently scumbags. But where was that standard in 2016? And where was that standard in 2020 or 2024 with Donald Trump? Where was the outrage and the speeches where, you know, these predators don't belong anywhere near power? And if there's smoke, there's fire when you've got so many different allegations about Trump. Where were the demands that Republicans chuck this guy? Instead, we heard every excuse imaginable. The allegations are politically motivated. It's fake. It's because Trump is so successful. It's because Trump is going to drain the swamp. Voters don't care. Move on, move on, move on. I've got one more of these. Here's Kevin McCarthy saying, when Republicans have a bad candidate, we don't vote for that person. We walk away. What? You made Trump president twice.
The one thing I know about Republicans, when we had a very bad candidate and found out, we didn't vote for that person. We walked away.
For better or for worse.
Yeah. When Matt Gaetz came forward, we got rid of him.
Yeah.
Forget about Matt Gaetz. What about Trump? Trump is the one who has allegations like the ones against Platner, just way more. And so forgive me if I can't take this seriously. If Republicans had consistently applied this standard, I would respect them. If they had said, listen, when multiple credible allegations against Trump surfaced, we walked away from Trump. And that is what Democrats should already have done, by the way, because it's been a long time of this stuff. The Reddit comments that were disgusting were out for a while, and he said, oh, I didn't mean them. I was young. The Nazi tattoo. Oh, I didn't know it was a Nazi tattoo. Okay, I don't know that I really believe that. And then allegations and asked, is anything else going to come out? No, nothing else is going to come out. And it didn't seem believable. And then more stuff comes out. Okay. But I would respect them if they were actually consistent on this standard. If they had said whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, serious allegations should disqualify someone from office. I said it about Trump, and I say it about Platner. Now, are there still some Democrats and people on the left who are defending Platner? There are. I got a couple emails overnight. There was one who goes, this is a Jewish conspiracy to get rid of Platner. And I'm a person who is going to stick by him because this is all the Jews that want to get him out. That's what you're going with? I got another email from someone who, it was a wacky email, it was like, David, some of us women really like men like Platner who take charge. I'm sure the women, this is an email I got, I'm sure these women that are now coming out against him had great sex with Platner. What? There's a little bit of that. But there's a reason that there is a 95% belief that Platner drops out. So if you had a coherent position all along, fine. But that is not what happened. The standard has become, when Democrats have someone like this, it's a predator who must be thrown out immediately. If it's Trump, you attack the victims, you attack the media, you attack judges, you attack juries, you attack everybody but Donald Trump. So these are not principles, these are teams. Now, in my first book, The Echo Machine, I wrote extensively about how their principles evaporate as soon as they're inconvenient. In my forthcoming book, Pay Attention, I write about how the algorithms make it so that these people live in a different reality. And there are tons of Republican voters who have limited knowledge of the allegations against Trump because of what's going on with the algorithm. So if that topic is interesting to you, and it really should be if you're following politics, make sure you pre-order my book at davidpakman.com/attention. There's also a limited number of signed copies available. So listen, the point here is not to defend your jersey no matter what. It's let's apply clear standards to everybody. If the allegations against Trump were about a Democrat, I would have had the same position. If the allegations against Platner were about a Republican, I would have the same position. It doesn't seem like these are people who should hold public office, but the people making the argument on Fox News have zero credibility to deliver it. So let's start by applying these standards to the guy sitting in the Oval Office. Give me a break. Thanks for watching. Check out another one of our videos and make sure to subscribe so YouTube keeps our content in your feed. And if you prefer audio, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or Apple.